Hello, ladies and germs. Welcome back to MVP Baseball 2005. We are getting started here in July, in our first week of July, and we're 2-2, keeping our 500 pace like we have known to do this season so far. We are right in the middle of this Atlanta Braves series in Atlanta at Turner Field. Getting things started. We got kind of blown out in that first game. Don't pay attention to that. But we did have a nice low-scoring game. Good pitching affair in Game 2. So we are looking to get ourselves a nice little edge here in Game 3 coming into this one. 39-42. So not bad, man. We are hanging around 500 as closely as we can. So hopefully we can get ourselves right maybe against the Braves, who are in the divisional race right now. I think they're still racing with the Marlins and the Phillies for the most part. You know what I mean? I think they're the last in that race, but they're at least still in it. We definitely aren't in it right now, so we can't talk too much. So we're going to move ahead here now to Endy Chavez, our lead-off man here in the top of the sixth with one out already. And Endy Chavez gets a hold of this one and sends it all the way out deep to center field, and that one is gone, 424 feet. If you didn't think Endy Chavez had power like that in that bat, there you go. He just proves you're wrong, as he absolutely takes this one yard, man. Absolutely cranks it. I mean, dude, when you say 450 dead center, that's what we're talking about right there, is hits like that. So, in a 3-1 count now, we get a walk. Now, I think it's Wes King who draws the walk. As he's now moving ahead, we get another man on base, and now Matt Holliday, the big hitter, man. We've seen him do pretty well in these little videos we watch with a man on first. And he's going to line this one down the right field line, and that one's going to get to the wall, and Wes King is going to go all the way to third, and Matt Holliday is going to be in safe at second. So it's an extra base hit for Matt Holliday. Every time we watch these games, he always seems to get at least one of those. He always seems to get at least something, man. He's the one driving the offense forward, man. So it's great to see. It just makes me feel good as a GM because I signed him. I feel a little bit better about myself. So Jose Guillen now up here. He's 0 for 2 today. He's 0-1 in the count. He's behind with 2 outs, man. A runner on second and third, and Guillen's going to lift this one. Just lift it and barely scrape by the wall. Get just into that first row of stands. 399 feet out to center field. Jose Guillen, man. He continues to stay hot after a great May, or a great June, excuse me. I mean, May and June. Why not? Screw it. He's been one of the best hitters on the team. He is the best hitter on the team, honestly, as he clears the bases with that home run, and then that would be all we get for that inning. So 4-0 is now your score here heading into the bottom of the sixth inning, and Chipper Jones is going to lead us off here. He's 0 for 2 in this game, but he is up 3-0 in the count, and that curveball is going to miss inside. So Chipper Jones is going to take his base, and that is going to be first base. So now we get Raul Mondesi here. We're at the top of the order, this Braves order, this heavy-hitting Braves order, and Mondesi steps back in the box, and it works out as he knocks this one in to left field, and now it's going to put Chipper at second and Mondesi at first. So, boom. Just lines that one into left field. You see that adjustment he made at the last second? Maybe it's a step that he takes. I don't know. He took him his own version of the Soto shuffle, I guess, before the Soto shuffle. So here's a look now at the Braves bullpen as they're looking. Probably going to have to go for a reliever here after a disastrous 4-run inning in the top of the sixth. So now Adam LaRoche now is up to bat here behind 0-1 in the count, and he's going to try and knock this one. That one was low and inside. I mean, it was a terrible pitch to swing at, but the slide, Mondesi slide into second, throws off Wes King, I believe. I think he was the one trying to make that throw. Castillo with a good relay. I don't know why that was a weird replay. I don't know why that was a weird replay. But whoever was trying to get to the bag, a nasty slide does not warrant a throw to first. So Kevin Zinter now, the catcher, is up to bat here with runners at the corners, and he is going to rocket this one out to the wall, 366 feet, bouncing off the wall, just gets between the gap, and that one is going to just about clear the bases as the lead runner at third doesn't want to try and threaten it. So here's a look at our bullpen now. So we have Chad Cordero and TJ Tucker, and if those guys are warming up, we're basically preparing to lose. So so Chuck Blevins, a prospect for the Braves, is now up to bat with 2 men on, and he's going to rocket this one out to the gap, essentially the same place where Zinter just hit it. And it's going to get in the gap again, and that is going to clear the bases as it is a 2 RBI double. And yeah, dude, our manager's just heming and hawing, man. Just like, good Lord, what are we doing? What are we doing? As we just about give up the lead here Yeah, we just about give up the lead in the bottom of the sixth after just taking it. we just got it, and now we are about to give it up here. But that was all the Braves would do. So 4-3 is your score, with Jose Guillen now stepping up to the plate in the top of the eighth with 2 outs, and Guillen, man, absolutely cranks this one. And no, it is his second home run of the game as he sends this one out to left field, and he is just staying hot. He has 21 home runs coming into this game, and that is number 22 and 23 you just watched as it sails all the way out. Beautiful. I love watching home runs in this game, and Jose Guillen's given us plenty to watch this season, has he not? So complete that trot, sir. You deserve it. And there we go. There it is. So that is going to be all she wrote for this ball game as we hang on 5-3 to win. Probably because the efforts of that man right there, our closer, another big free agent signing. But that's going to end this game. So let's head back now to the rest of the month. All right, everyone, welcome back. We are back in now after our 5-3 victory over the Atlanta Braves in Game 3 of that series. And, just get ahead of me and take a look at the month ahead, because boy, oh boy, we absolutely crushed it in July. Both figuratively and literally. We had a great month offensively and had a great month just in general as a team throughout the month. It is our best month, best month of our tenure, really. So, let us recap. So, we started the month off, I think we started, dude, this track thing needs to leave. I hate this. It's there for so long. They couldn't put it in the top left or right corner where, information isn't. Ridiculous. Either way. So we started off this Marlins series in June with a loss, and we would actually lose that series. But we would roll in to Atlanta and take 3 of 4 from the Braves, which is massive because that is a division opponent. And the Braves, I think the Braves, Marlins, and Phillies are all kind of in the mix right now for the NL East lead. So taking the series was kind of massive to kind of throw our hat back into the ring. Not that I think a division title is anywhere near our future, or short term or long term, but just to be able to kind of have an influence over that and take some very important games from teams that need them in our division, could drastically change our outlook in the season, since, primarily they're the people that we're going to be playing throughout our seasons. So, taking series like that is important. But then we would follow that up by getting swept by the Blue Jays. And this series was at home back in D.C. We got swept by the Blue Jays, and this one was just wild, man. This game right here, 14-11. I'm pretty sure that game was 8-1 at one point, and we caught up, and then just couldn't get anything going out of the bullpen. No one was pitching a good game, but our offense showed up, so it's unfortunate to put up 11 runs and still find a way to lose. But yeah, not a great series. And then in the All-Star game, the one thing I will say about the All-Star game is Jose Guillen was like an alternate, he was on the bench for the National League team. So I forgot to check last year to see if we even had an All-Star. I'm sure we had to have one at least, or two, but that is our All-Star this year. So in case you were curious if we had one, yes, we did. But the American League did win the All-Star game. So coming out of the All-Star break, though, we would take 2 of 3 from the Tampa Bay Rays in St. Petersburg. We would take 2 of 3 from them, which is sick, awesome. Another high-scoring affair, man. Offense was rolling, I'm telling you. Offense was rolling, and pitching was not there. Then we went up to Boston, to Fenway Park, and we would drop 2 of 3. The Red Sox offense was just way too much for us to handle in the second and third game of this series, man. Just the games got out of hand before we ever even had a chance on offense. But then we would sweep the Mets in this 2-game set immediately after, which is kind of cool, before taking on the Marlins. I think the series was in Miami, and we would take that series from the Marlins, kind of get revenge from the beginning of the month, and then take another series over the Mets. And this is a great series, man. Pitching was on point. We were kind of hitting a bit of a stride here, a 4-game win streak towards the end of the month, and then the big thing here, we swept the Cincinnati Reds. So we swept the Reds to end our month. So now we're on July 31st, the first day of this Cardinals series, but it is the trade deadline, so that's going to be in the next episode. But we're going to recap, of course, our stats and stuff from the month. I did get a couple trades throughout the course of the month. The Marlins wanted to do a prospect swap. They had a 22-year-old reliever that had a pretty low ceiling, and they wanted one of our 25-year-old relievers that had still a little bit of a ceiling. And so I just denied that because, an arm for an arm, I don't think, I didn't see much of a future for the reliever. that they were offering, and I didn't want to go through and try and add up more prospects and this and that. I haven't even really taken a look at our minors this year, so that'll probably be in the next episode. We'll do the trade deadline and take a look at our farm system and see if anyone needs to be moved up or moved down. I might go back to our offseason video and just take a look at all the rookies that I drafted and just see how they are all doing. And see, what changes need to be made. I don't think there's any personnel moves we need to make at the major league level. I think we have a pretty decent roster to at least compete at the level that we are, which is really all I'm trying to do. I don't think there's a huge area for the team to get a whole lot better. I think we're fine where we're at right now, but still between AAA and AA and Single A, there's probably a lot of moves that we can make to make those teams a little bit better because last year our farm system was really good, and this year they're all kind of struggling. They're all doing kind of below 500. It's not great. So, but we will get into all that in the next one here. Of course, we have to now look at our batting order and pitching stats and all that jazz. So, Andy Chavez here is up to 294. I think he was, 280 in the last two months, basically. He had an amazing month, man. He hit, 4 or 5 home runs in, the first week of this month, man. He was having himself a freaking month. So you can see his slugging percentage is doing pretty darn well. He's up to 55 bags on the year. I don't even know what the record in the majors is at this time. In 2006, I don't know what it is. I need to look it up. But like I said, or joked in the last video, I mean, since this is technically a 2-year-old franchise now, that is the record. You know what I mean? He is setting the record. So, but yeah, as far as the league goes, I'm not really sure where that number is at. So I know that Ricky Henderson probably holds it, but I don't know what that number is. So, but Andy Chavez had a great month, so we're happy to see that. And then Christian Guzman, I'm just going to go through the DH lineup, just include everybody. But Christian Guzman, again, we're using him primarily as a bench bat, big time pinch hit guy, and he started a few more games than normal this month because we had a lot of back-to-back series and stuff, so his numbers are okay. They're fine. They're nowhere near where they were last year, and they're still kind of far from where we need them to be. And Wes King, I think, actually had a pretty decent month this month, so Christian Guzman really didn't really carve his way into the everyday makeup of this team, unfortunately. Jose Guillen continues to stay hot, man. I think those numbers have dipped a little bit, but he's still very much productive. When you're hitting well over 300 and you're slugging as well over 500, and you have those home runs on the team, I think he had 21 in that Braves series, and now he's got 27. So, you know what I mean? When those are your numbers, that's the kind of stuff that you're doing for this team. You can afford to kind of take a dip in production because, you're still the best hitter on the team. So I'm thinking about moving him up in the lineup. I saw when I was looking at the beginning of the Braves game, mentally I kind of clocked how weird it is that our best home run hitters are kind of spaced out in the lineup. That doesn't make a ton of sense because our offense still continues to play well. I haven't really worried about it, but I'm thinking now it might be a little bit more just efficient for our offense if I keep the best guys together at the top, but I don't know. We'll look into it. But Matt Holliday also, I think, had a fairly decent month. I believe. I can't remember entirely where his stats were in the previous month, but he was hitting a few home runs, doing okay. He's still hitting decently well here. I'd like to see some of those numbers get a little bit higher, but he's doing better this month, so I'm not super upset with it. Jose Vidro is also having a pretty good month, consistently getting hits in the top of the lineup, so that's what we need to see from him, as he's one of the vets also on this team from the Expos era, so would like to see that. Vinny Castillo also had himself a great month. The power showed up. Vinny was absolutely hitting this month, man. He was slugging the ball very well. So nice to see that his power is still somewhere in there latent with the massive regression he saw because of his age. I'm not sure how much more we're going to get out of that, but to see Vinny is trending upwards toward that 300 average. The slugging's over 500, and it looks like he's probably going to hit at least 20 home runs again this season. That's great. You know what I mean? That is great. So he might finally be able to be moved up towards the front of the lineup like Jose Guillen as well. So we might get quite a bit of power and production and have a decent cleanup hitter for once, Tremel Sledge also... again, I used him a bit more this month because for benching, like Matt Holliday got tired. I think Andy Chavez, he started a game for him, started a few games, but still just a big time pinch hitter, and his numbers still kind of stay pretty good. Someone did make a trade. I think it was the Astros made a trade for Tremel Sledge. They wanted to give me a catcher, a 26-year-old catcher who was actually hitting pretty decent on the year, and I figured with how Gary Bennett has hit this year, I figured that might be a nice upgrade, but then, trying to figure out what we would do with Gary Bennett in that situation, because we don't have a ton of money to play around with, so, I couldn't just get rid of Gary Bennett. I don't want to just send him to New Orleans. A backup catcher isn't really like a huge thing right now, and Terminal Sledge is really fulfilling his role well as like a platoon bat, like a pinch hit bat, and I kind of enjoy having him on the team here. I don't want to just kind of give him up, but that catcher was decent. So, but this is what Terminal Sledge has been doing for us in the month. I wonder if I can see how many games he's had this season. I don't think I can. Yeah, I don't know if I can this month, but 26 hits. That's a small sample size. So, okay, so Ivan Vukarina also had himself a fairly decent month. The average is way up. It's probably up like 20 to 25 points from where it was last month. And his slugging is also getting up pretty well, with the OBP also increasing very slightly, I believe. His OBP has been around like low to mid 300 all season long, so I don't think it's too much of an increase. But the slugging is up a little bit, so he's seeing the ball a little bit better, hitting it with a little bit more power. This month was really just a great month for our offense, so I'm glad to see that he's finally hitting well after, for the last 2 months, we've been talking about maybe having to send him back down to New Orleans, even though his numbers haven't really been bad. They've just been average. So now they're looking like they're kind of matching at least somewhere where the rest of the roster is. I wish he was hitting more home runs, but if he's getting a little bit more extra bases, that's fine too. And then Brian Schneider continues to have a great year behind the plate. At least at the plate. I don't know defensively what his metrics are measuring out to, but offensively he's still producing very much for this team, so that is a good thing to see. And then looking at our bench here, Gary Bennett still struggling. Yeah, just not great. A 634 OPS, man, hitting 236, not good. He's primarily, I think, because of the righty-lefty matchups, he's primarily just a bench guy. Like, we don't even hardly use him. I only sub him in now whenever Schneider gets tired. That's about it. So Wes King here, still hitting over 300, slugging 426. He had a couple home runs this month too. I don't expect him to hit for a ton of power, but he did this month in certain dosages, so can't be super mad about that. One of our better prospects here is holding his own here at 25 in the majors, so that's a good thing to see. That is panning out. And then Jorge Mateo also, I think, had a little bit more effective of a month here. Same thing as Christian Guzman and Terminal Sledge, man, just kind of a just a bench guy who's been spot starting here throughout the month because of all the back-to-back series, and he's actually been hitting pretty well. So again, it's a small sample size, but it's nice to know that we can slot in some of these bench dudes and not completely expect to lose the game. But speaking of expecting to lose the game, let's go look at pitching because it hasn't been good. Our starting rotation was completely abysmal this month. The bullpen played okay, but the starting rotation was absolutely horrendous. So Seth Griesinger still holding that ERA right around 4. With the 7-7 record here. Strikeout numbers pretty decent, but those numbers in a vacuum I don't think are really all that bad, but like I guess I just want the ERA to be a little bit lower, and maybe the walks not as high as they are. Tony Armas Jr. was also pretty rough this month. I don't know if the numbers reflect that from last month, but yeah, he was really, really rough. I had to start where I had to take him out in the first inning. Gave up like 6 or 7 runs. Just not great, man. Not a good month for him. And again, that record is still bad. Remember, I pointed that out last month. He was like 1-6, and now he's 2-9. You know what I mean? Like, he's just one of those starters where you put him in, and just it's a recipe for disaster. Casey Fossum had a horrendous month. He was awful this month. It just sucks to see these free agents just not pan out. I'm 1-2 on free agents so far. I guess if we're counting Matt Holliday, I'm 2-2 because Casey Fossum and CC Sabathia really haven't panned out for us, but Urbina and Matt Holliday have done pretty decently well. So Casey Fossum definitely struggled this month quite a bit. And then John Patterson, it's just been John Patterson. I think I said it either in the last video or the video before, where there's just some guys where you just know to get what you're getting out of them, and I'm expecting to get 4 or 5 runs out of John Patterson and just having to play around that, so we don't have a deep rotation. No one's getting injured, which is good, but we don't have a deep rotation, so there's not a whole lot we could slide in for these guys. And then Sungwoo Kim was kind of back and forth. I had a couple starts with him. I think he even pitched a complete game, if you can believe that. I think he pitched a complete game this month. So that was the highs and lows with Sungwoo Kim. Like he pitched, he'd have a couple good starts. I could get him 6 or 7 scoreless or 1 run, and then I'd take him out, or he would just give up 4 or 5 like he normally does. So that ERA, I think, is definitely lower than where it was, and he's over 100 strikeouts. I think he's the only starter in our rotation that's even close to that. Yeah, dude, he's the only one. And so he's been, objectively the best pitcher. He was one of the best pitchers last year, too, for our team anyway. But, just the long ball was his problem, and people got to him early. Still an issue this year, but it's kind of a little bit more inconsistent now. I can expect to maybe get a halfway decent start out of him, if the offense shows up. So John Rauch wasn't that decent this month. I only used him a few times. He struggled in a few situations I put him in, some high leverage situations. He did not follow through for us, which is unfortunate. CC Sabathia wasn't terrible. I had to use him a bit more as like in an opener situation, like I'd have someone go out, and if a starter really struggled, then I'd just throw CC Sabathia in like the second or third inning and have him just pitch like 4 or 5 innings, and he did pretty well in that role. There was only 1 or 2 instances where I think he kind of struggled, and in those games we were already kind of getting blown out, so it didn't really matter. So a 6.23 ERA is still horrendous, but at least we're finding a role for him. He's at least helping a little bit, kind of. All that money we gave him, that's something. Claudio Vargas continues to struggle. He's not great at all. One of the least used relievers we have. Walks a ton of people. He's just not good. TJ Tucker also really, really bad. Like not good this month at all. Again, low usage because he's just not that good. I got Chad Cordero in, and he kind of brought down his numbers a little bit. Like I think he had an ERA that was close to, it was under 5. It was under 5 because we haven't used him that much. It's only 11 innings. So I got his ERA like under 5, and then I put him in for another outing, and he got completely shelled, and now he's back up to a 7. So I finally used Roy Corcoran again, because I only used him once, and his ERA was at like a 16, and I used him, I think, 1 or 2 more times, and, he's done all right, an ERA over 8, so that's not good. This middle relief is really just brutal. We really don't have, like, a good middle reliever, but between CC Sabathia and some of our starters, like, it's not really an issue. We don't ever hardly need to use middle relievers, so I'm not super worried about it. Luis Ayala, now, he is interesting. He was injured he missed about 5 days, because he, I think, strained his wrist or something, so he was injured in this month, and we still use him in this kind of setup role, and he hasn't been the best. He had a couple really shaky outings. I think I brought him in when he had a lot of runners already on, so I don't think his ERA really took a big dip, but if it could show us like inherited runners, allowed, it'd probably be over 8, man. He really could not close anything out, which is typically when I throw him in to do like a setup before I bring in Urbina in the 9th inning, so he really couldn't do that this month, and then got injured. So it wasn't a great month for Ayala, but his numbers are still solid on the year, of course. And then Urbina has been that dude. I think there was a couple situations where I had to rely on him a bit more than I wanted to. Like I think we went into extra innings, and I had to use him for like 2 or 3 innings, and he was getting pretty tired. And I think he even gave up maybe a run. But he was still lights out for us this month. He's the best guy in our bullpen, probably the best pitcher on our team, and that's great signing by yours truly. I'm gonna do a victory lap on that one. So moving ahead now, the last thing that we love to do here, we're gonna look through the standings and of course the month ahead. We might not look through the month ahead because we still have business to attend to here in July, and then I guess maybe at the end of the next video we'll look at the next month. So I guess we'll just check out the standings really quickly here, and then we'll look at some league standings statistics too, because I'm curious about like any Chavez's stolen bases, where that sits as far as the league is concerned, like average and things like that, if we're anywhere even on the radar as a team in the league, if we're even all that good. So, but here's the big bombshell to drop on you guys. In addition to having a 16-10 June or July, we are now over 500. We are 53-50 with our stretch of ball in the last week. I wish it had your last 10 record on here. It might. Does it have it on here? Let's see. It does, yeah. So we were 8-2 in our last 10. So that's kind of what has helped us get to over 500 here. And look at our records, our splits here. We're better on the road. I wouldn't have guessed that. We were better on the road. We're not good. We need to be better at home, because that's one of our contract stipulations is winning games at home. So, is winning games at home. So if we can't win games at home, that's not a good thing. We need to have a better record at home. We do play in an awful stadium, so I guess that's part of it, but still. So we are 53-50. The Mets are still well behind us. We did a good job of beating the teams that we needed to this month. So we hold a nice 10-game lead in our division over the Mets, and we are just a few games behind the Braves. Both of us are kind of now pretty much out of the race here between the Marlins and Phillies. I guess if the Braves get hot, they could probably get their hat back in there, but they'd have to play some pretty darn good ball in order to do that. But the Marlins and Phillies seem to be fighting themselves for that title right now. In the AL West, the Athletics are firmly holding on to first place, but the Rangers aren't super far behind. And again, I guess the Mariners or the Angels, really, if they got hot, could probably get into it too. But it is the A's division to lose. In the AL Central, the Twins are still hanging on to the AL Central lead here. They're on a 4-game win streak, which puts them over 500. I guess they're 52-52. So the AL Central taking a humongous step back this year, man. Kind of really unfortunate for the AL Central. It's just been kind of brutal. The AL Comedy Central, as we call it today. So in the AL East, the Red Sox, man, I believe that 66-40. We felt every single bit of it in this month, man. They are a brutal team, and they now have almost a 10-game lead over the Yankees, who are sliding right now on a 5-game losing streak. So not great for them, with the Orioles hot on their tails, and then the Blue Jays and Devil Rays are sitting right down here at the bottom. The Devil Rays might have the worst record in baseball again. In the NL West, the Padres have a game and a half over the Dodgers for the title right now, which is kind of a good lead, a good padded lead over anyone else. The Giants and Rockies kind of fighting out at 48 wins apiece, but the Rockies have a whole series on the Giants, it looks like, in the losing column, and the Diamondbacks are kind of hanging on for dear life as well towards the bottom. And then in the loaded NL Central, the Cardinals at 67-38. I think that is the highest win total in the majors. Looks like 13.5 games ahead of the next closest team. This division was somewhat close, wasn't it, in the last couple months? What happened? Have the have the Cardinals just been tearing it up? They're 7-3 in the last 10. Yeah, dude, I guess they are, man. They're just absolutely tearing things up, man. Jeez Louise. We would be second place in this division. Isn't that crazy to think about? We'd be second place in the NL Central. That is absolutely nuts, man. So the whole division just kind of struggling it out, man. Just really kind of duking it out. So, and look at this, bro. You can see it in the wild card race at the bottom, man. We're on it. I don't think we have a legitimate choice at all, but I mean, just to be on it is kind of crazy, you know. This is before all the added wild cards, so we only have the one spot to fight for, and the Marlins are holding on to it 16-45. But that's our mark. If we could catch up to the Marlins, you could maybe go to the playoffs. But do not get your hopes up whatsoever. I'm not promising playoffs. I'm just hoping that we can stay around 500 and get in that mid to high 70s win total. But if we have another month in August like we did in July, then I mean, dude, we could potentially, you know what I mean? So just, I mean, do the math. 16-10 again. So that would put us at what, 69-60? That's not bad. You know what I mean? Like that's not bad. That could probably get us somewhere, you know. But I'm just hoping that we can at least stay a game or two above 500 moving forward. So before we close it out, I'm going to look here at the base rank stats. I'm going to see where Endy Chavez ranks in terms of stolen base. So, and yeah, he's the best. He's the best. Oh, on our team. Can I not look at everyone? Is that an option? I guess I can. Maybe. Okay, league leaders. Here we go. Here we go. So, okay, so how far do we have to get a national on here? I guess the only player we would have is Jose Guillen. And there he is. Yeah, he's 22nd in the majors in terms of average. Home runs, I can't imagine any of us are anywhere close here. Jose Guillen's 7th on here, 7th in the majors in home runs. RBIs. Jose Guillen is 2nd in RBIs. Way far behind Manny Ramirez. That's crazy. But he would be 1st in the National League, so that's something, I guess, right? I'll count that. And then stolen bases, Endy Chavez leading the charge, man. Almost 20 more bags than Ichiro. That is nuts. No one is even on a close pace. And I've started stealing with Christian Guzman. If he was an everyday starter, he'd probably be somewhere in this mix as well. But yeah, I just wanted to see this, man. That is crazy. 55 swiped bags for Endy Chavez, man. He is tearing it up. We got a couple guys playing for some contracts, so we will glance over the schedule one more time just so you can take a look for yourselves. Yeah, when I come back in the next episode, we're not going to be covering any games. We're going to cover the trade deadline. I haven't even really thought about about our approach. I was just kind of like, we get to it, because the team's just been playing well, so I'm not super worried about fulfilling any roles or anything. There might be players I'll try to move, you know what I mean? Like maybe there's guys that we can move, but even prospect-wise, I'll take a look at the farm and see if there's, like, any guys that I think need to get brought out. I don't know. I think we're all right. We might just stay pat with where we're at. I don't think there's any players that need to be moved. I don't think we'll be able to move Vinny Castilla like we tried last year, unless we attach some pricey prospects with him. I don't know if Christian Guzman's at a point where I want to try and move him. I might just because, but he's one of the better players on the team, regardless of what his stats on the year say. Just, stats-wise, attributes-wise, he's one of the better players on the team. So I think it would be dumb to trade him just because he's having a bad year. So we might just leave him. Obviously, we need some starting pitching. I talked about maybe trying to get away from CC Sabathia. That might still be on the table as well. But I'll think about it off camera here, and next week we'll get into that. You guys will see the results. So hope you enjoyed watching here. Our great month here in July comes to a close. Hopefully we can stay hot in the second half, be one of the hottest teams in baseball in the second half. That would be truly good for us moving forward. And trying to keep our job as GM of the Nationals. We still have some goals to have to hit here. So hopefully, maybe before I get out of here, let's see if we can see where we're at as far as team goals go. So we are at 61 of 110 MLB home games, so we are literally halfway to our goal. So unless we absolutely crush it next year, we are not hitting that. Maintain a 480. We're at 460. We're so close, man. So close. And then we have to finish top 8 of MVP. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think we'll get that. So unfortunate for us. But we are hitting some stretch goals. I wonder if we hit the stretch goals, that kind of makes up for not hitting the 3-year contract goals. I don't know. I don't like to look at this before we actually get to the off season and have to review it. But either way, that's going to do it. I keep rambling. Thank you guys for watching, and hopefully y'all will come back in the next one here when we cover the trade deadline and look over our farm system.